Testing, testing. All right, let's get into this. Hey Sam, how's it going? Thanks for joining the stream. Welcome to Collex. Today I'm going to be doing a rookie breakdown of Luka Doncic and Michael Jordan. I think this is important because with population numbers going up the way they have, it's important for people to have an understanding of the numbers and where things stack up as far as how much money's being put into some of these modern cards. It's nothing against it. It's a really exciting time to be in the hobby, and you could definitely see some success in trading modern cards. But I think long term it's kind of scary seeing the numbers that we see right now. And so I'm wanting to do more of these breakdowns and just show people how you can go through and kind of get a feel for, okay, right now in the world, there's 3,000 people that are willing to pay this much for a 2013 Giannis rookie card. All right, so the amount of money that people are willing to put in to this card is so much. That's the market capitalization, as opposed to what we see right now, where there's 15,000 people willing to put money into a Luka or a Zion. All right, well, will those 15,000 people still be there, 5 years from now? Yeah, they'll be there. How much will they be willing to put in? How much will 15,000 people be willing to put in to a card 5 years from now, even if they're a great player? And they both are, and I love watching them. They're really exciting, and this has nothing to do with their playing ability. It's simply, we look at the history, and market cap is important because that says out of everyone in the world, that take them together, and this is how much money they're willing to put into this player's rookie card. So, 5 years from now, how much are people going to be willing to put into some of the cards that we see right now? Maybe way more than what they are now, maybe not. I think the history of the card market up till this point says that scarcity is really important, especially when you get down the road and you get into, veteran status, and then even more once you get into retired players, even more once you go back a little farther than that. And by the time you get into vintage, the scarcity is everything. The reason that a Honus Wagner goes for $3 million is because there's only 16 of them that exist. I mean, the collectability of Honus Wagner as a player is not high. It's the fact that if you want one, you're going to have to pay for it, because it only takes 16 people out of the entire population of the world, out of 9 billion or whatever, that want this card bad enough to pay that price. So that's kind of what we're getting into today. I've got a spreadsheet set up, so we'll go through the three major grading services, PSA, BGS, and SGC. We'll look into kind of performance numbers, like what does Luka Doncic have to do in the next 15 years to be at that Michael Jordan level, right? Because that's important. If he doesn't, win a MVP, if he doesn't, not just get one championship, but if he doesn't get several rings, then he's probably not going to be in that discussion, right? So there's several factors we're going to look into, and hold on just a second. I need to get my chat up. All right, there we go. That's better. Let's see. Press Prince Cards. Hey, how's it going? So is sport cards just getting more and more expensive? Which would you prefer out of PSA or BGS? Sports cards are getting way more and more expensive. And we've seen this before. And, hopefully the card market stays around, and 30 years from now, we'll have seen this again. In 2003, when LeBron came out, that was the first time we really saw high resale numbers. So high, so boxes and packs that are going for a lot more than what their suggested retail price is. We also saw that with Griffey to a lesser extent, but also to an extent in 1989 when Upper Deck came out. People were just mowing people down to get into those cards. So are cards gonna just get more and more expensive? Yes and no. Right now, yes. 5 years from now, who knows? But these things go in waves. If I've been in the market for 30 years, and you see it go up and down, and it goes up and down drastically. Like overall the market goes up, and I think overall, as far as an investment, when I'm looking at something 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, it goes up. And I would say up to this point, it's beat the stock market. If you were to take out an amount of money and put it into blue chip stocks in 1970, and take that same amount of money and put it into high grade examples of Hall of Fame ball players, you're going to have a lot higher return on the sports cards than you are on the stocks, in a big part because, how many of the blue chip companies from the 1970s are even still around? I know not all of them, but had you taken out, Hall of Fame players, had you been holding the Ted Williams and the Mickey Mantles and the Ernie Banks and the Willie Mays and those players that were at that Hall of Fame status by the 1970s, you would have seen a dramatic return on investment by this point, So will things keep going up? To an extent. I don't think you'll see that type of increase, over the next, I don't know, over the next 50 years. I don't know. But yeah, at this point, I would say at least for the next year, things will keep going up to an extent. So we're in an interesting situation here where, basketball got super, super hot with a combination of things early in the year with COVID, The Last Dance coming out, that, and sports cards just heating up in general. They've been heating up for 3 years, really. They've been kind of getting more and more popular. Excuse me. So with that, going on, and then the seasons hit. So first, people can't participate in the games. They can't participate in gambling. They can't participate in fantasy sports, so they go to cards. Well, now a lot of those people are here, and they plan on staying. So then the season kicks off, the basketball season, the baseball seasons, then football starts up, and that stokes the flames, so to speak. And then, the seasons end, and normally, like basketball season ends, normally you would see a pretty significant decline in value, in the off season. And you saw that to an extent this season, but with there only being a very short period of time between basketball season ending and starting again, I feel like that is going to carry at least through this year, carry cards through this year. Now, summer of next year, when there's no basketball and there's no football going on, I think you'll see a correction. Baseball's still going to be carrying on. I would guess that some of this is going to bleed over to baseball. Baseball's a lot more stable market than basketball and football. but I would expect some of this money to go into baseball when baseball season starts up, and it's going to bleed over. But what happens when we have, a regular off season? If we have a regular off season, there's no guarantee of that. COVID's still a real thing. But what happens if we do have a regular off season? You're going to see, you should see steep declines in card values of some of these really highly priced rookie cards and things like that. And then, what does that do to the market? We'll see. It's exciting, but I'm gonna answer your last question, and then I'm gonna start getting into these breakdowns of the two rookie cards that we're looking at here. But PSA or BGS. So right now, your cost to submit, your turnaround times are basically the same. I would say PSA for the fact that turnaround times being the same, it's a little more expensive to go through BGS. Second thing is you're most likely going to get a 9.5 at best. They give out 10s very rarely. Their 10s are very hard to get, much harder than PSA 10s. And 9.5s go for normally quite a bit less. I mean, a significant amount less money than a PSA 10. So, with that being the case, there is one thing to take into consideration, and that is BGS Black Label. So, for a card that scores a perfect 10 out of all four grades, so corners, centering, surface condition, and edges, the edge condition. If a card gets all of those in a Gem Mint 10 in a 10 subgrade, then that gives it a Black Label standing. And BGS Black Label cards go for much, much higher values than a PSA 10. So a BGS 10 Black Label will go for 3, 4, 5, 10 times more than a regular BGS 10 or a PSA 10. So that's something to keep in consideration, but that is really, I would never expect a card to get a Black Label 10. It is very, very difficult. They do not give them out very often. And so, that's that's kind of like, if you're on a toss-up of I could send this card to BGS or I could send this card to PSA, that might be something that sways you in that direction. But for the majority of cards, I would go with PSA personally. Sometimes, it's just personal preference. A lot of the times, most of the things, the prices and the turnaround times being the same, kind of comes down to personal preference. But PSA 10s do sell for better than 9.5 BGS. All right, so I've got a spreadsheet made up here, and I want to go through Luka base. I'm not going to hit on parallels. I'm not going to hit on autographs unless you want me to. Later on in the video, in the stream, if people want to go into that stuff, I'm happy to. But for right now, I'm going with base 1986 Fleer Jordan. Not actually his rookie year, but this is definitely considered Jordan's rookie card. There was a card company in the early 80s called Star, and that has a lot of controversy around them, and they are not considered a credible company, and they're not considered credible cards. So the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan is considered his rookie card. So I will go through the pop reports and pull out the PSA 10s. I'm going with BGS. I'm going to add the BGS. I want to add the BGS 9.5s and the BGS 10s. Not every 9.5 BGS will get a PSA 10. Several of them will. I'd say it's around 50-50, maybe 30-70 as far as what would get a PSA 10 as opposed to a BGS 9.5. So we'll go through that. I'll decide when we get to that. And then SGC, I'm only going with 10s. I'm not taking into consideration SGC 9.5s there are a lot less SGC 9.5 and 10s of these cards than there are PSA and BGS, so it doesn't make that much difference, but I'm only going to go with SGC 10s. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. And then I think towards the end, I'm going to go into performance numbers and awards, and what does Luka Doncic have to do to get to that Michael Jordan level. Okay, so if you're planning on holding these cards for 20 years, planning on Luka Doncic being the next Michael Jordan, what does he have to accomplish for that to be the case, right? So we'll check that out. So right now, we're at PSA here. You can do this yourself. Go to Pop Report. If you ever want to research these cards, you can go to Pop Report. You can also go to auction realized pricing over here. But right now, as it stands today, and this number is going up pretty much every day with people submitting, we've got 14,824 base Panini Prism Luka Doncic cards and a graded a PSA 10. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to bring it over, and we'll put that here. 14,824, right? Okay. Then let's go into Beckett. All right. 2018-2019 Prism Luka Doncic. I guess there's an error card with a wrong back for this card. I didn't know that, but apparently one of them has been submitted and graded a 4 by BGS. But anyways, I'm going to take 30% of the 9.5s. That's a conservative number. So I'll take those as 10s. There's 123, 3 black labels. Gosh, those are probably $20,000 cards in a base version. And 120 pristine 10s from BGS. Then I'm going to take 30% from the 9.5. So that's 750. We'll say 700, 823. So we'll plug that in. And move on to SGC. And I've gone ahead of time and pulled all this up, so we didn't have to go through the process of searching all this out after the fact. So Luka, if you go to SGC, Luka base, there's 417 graded. 87 graded a 10 or a 10 pristine. So SGC also has their black label version, and that would be a pristine 10 SGC. And I'm not discounting SGC. I actually think SGC grading is very close to what PSA grades at least nowadays. At one point in time, maybe that wasn't the case. I think it really has been. If you knew, back when SGC had a 0 to 100 rating, and if you understood what that meant in regards to PSA and BGS, I think they were pretty consistent. That's important. So, what did we say? 87. 87. So going off those numbers, and again, that's only taking 30% of the 9.5s. I would guess there's a little bit more than that would grade a PSA 10, but we're going to go with that number. 15,734 Luka base prisms. All right. I am going to pull out Select and Optic just to see what those numbers come up to. And then we'll go into Jordans. So let's pull up the Jordans. They're significantly less. I mean, obviously. A lot of the reason there are a lot less Jordans is because in 1986, the market did not really want a basketball product. Baseball was king, and people didn't buy the 1986 Fleer basketball product. There was a lot of shops that shipped cases and cases of product back unopened, And so you'll see a lot of, $50,000, $60,000 boxes of 1986 Fleer that have a black X on them, and that's because they were shipped back to the factory and marked not for resale. And so I don't know exactly how those got back on the market, but there was probably, like, as an employee, you could probably buy them. So if we look here, there have been 18,000 cards graded by PSA of Jordan 1986 Fleer Jordans, but only 300 have come back at 10. These cards had significant condition issues. It was hard to get them centered, and also people just didn't protect cards as well back then. Most of these Lukas, these modern cards that are getting graded, have come directly out of packs, like have been touched once and that's it. So you're going to have a lot higher gem rate or percentage of cards submitted that get that top grade. So we've got 317 PSA Jordans. Again, we'll just take that 30% of Beckett. So 30%, there's 526 9.5s and 610s, right? So it's really hard to get a BGS 10 on any card, really. So that 30% would put us at about 160, we're going to say. If we go back. And these numbers also, you got to take into consideration, this is the pop report, but a lot of these cards, the Jordans, there's a lot fewer than what the pop report shows. So, that's the other thing. A lot of these Jordan cards have been submitted more than once. And so, we'll see. But if I had a Jordan PSA 10, I don't know. I don't know why people would resubmit PSA 10s unless, I don't know. But BGS for sure, there's probably been a lot submitted that were a 10 that they wanted, a 9.5 or a 10 that they wanted looked at to either get a 10 or to try to get a black label 10. So that could be a little bit misleading. Probably not much, because if somebody gets a PSA 10, they're probably not resubmitting. We go to SGC, total 10 gem or pristine of 26. So we will plug that in. We've got Luka base prisms, 15,734. Jordan base PSA 10, or graded a 10, 503. So we've got 30 times more Lukas than we do Jordans. Jordans sell for a lot more. PSA 10 Jordans are selling for about $120K right now. Let's set these to currency. Expand that out a little bit. All right. So at 120K, we've got a market cap of 60 million for the Jordan cards. The Lukas I looked earlier are selling for about 1,700 right now. They did get up to 1,800, but that's just the market. Like, it's gonna fluctuate with this much population. That's another thing to take into consideration if you're holding these cards, is if something happens, or if it's just a market fluctuation. With so many of these cards being on the market, when people start to sell, that price is going to go down considerably. When people when people are buying, maybe not so much. There's a lot of supply, and it would be hard to meet that demand, you know. But when people are selling, they're, it's a race to the bottom, and there's a lot of people out there if something bad happens trying to sell. So, take that into consideration. All right. Luka Prism market cap is 26 going on 27 million. So it's a little less than half of what Jordan's market cap is right now. That's just Prism, right? That's just base Prisms. All right. So, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, if you want a Luka Doncic 2018 rookie, there are several to choose from. Several, like a bunch, maybe 100. If you take into account Donruss, Hoops, Prism, Select, Optic, Flawless, everything out there. There's a bunch. So, all the parallels, all the autos, all the patch cards, all the inserts. There is only one. Well, there's two, I guess. There's the 86 Jordan, and then there's the sticker. So we'll take that into account, but what I'm saying is down the road, that market cap is getting split up over a lot more cards. So if somebody wants a card, they don't have to pay necessarily that top dollar. They might, the demand, if somebody's looking at maybe buying a Prism base, they might say, well, I don't want to pay that, but I'll pay this for a different brand that's a little bit lower, right? So the demand is definitely spread out a lot more there. So we will go in and just check out Select and Optic just to give us a consideration, but that is basically, the point I want to make here is what is the ceiling for Luka Doncic cards? So I would say that the most that this card could ever be honestly valued at, I'm not saying that the market wouldn't push it up more, but the most that honestly the ceiling for this card would be about double, a little more than double maybe. So $4,000. $4,000 is the ceiling for this card if, he was looked at as the exact same as Michael Jordan. The market cap, 60 million for Jordan. If you put that market cap up to 60 million for Luka, $4,000 is the absolute ceiling. There's a lot of cards out there that you can get more than a 2 or 2.5 times return on your investment. So, I don't think it's the card to buy. You can buy, 20 of a different player's card for $100 that could potentially, have a 3, 4, 5 times return on investment. And so I think those are a lot better as far as opportunity. Those cards are a lot better. Now, in, February of this year, maybe that wasn't the case necessarily, but, maybe Luka was overlooked and undervalued, you could say, at that point in time. But for right now, we're getting close. I think this is the ceiling for this card. Like $2,000 is the ceiling. You got Giannis and LeBron base cards going for, $3,500 and $4,000, and you have a lot more years of performance there. So, and there's a lot less of them. The market cap for Luka is higher, I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, LeBron's market cap on base tops is like $4,000 times. There's like 2,200 of them. Let's just say 2,500. So his market cap's 10 million on Topps base, right? And there's several products from 2003, but not near as many as there was in 2018. Not near as many products. There was probably 5 times more products that contained a Luka rookie card than there was in 2003. So, LeBron's base tops market cap's 10 million. Let's see here. All right. Whoa. Sorry, something just went off on my. I'm kind of new to streaming, so thanks for whoever made that notification go off. I am. Oh, Morgan Hadley has subscribed. Thank you, Morgan Hadley. I'm still learning here, so bear with me. Thanks, Morgan. So yeah, I mean, those are all things to keep in mind. Giannis, I think, is about the same. He's probably looking at a 10 million market cap on his Prism bases, so that's kind of a better comparison because it's the same card. Prism. You look at Prism Silvers, and Giannis Prism Silvers go for like 30 grand right now. But you talk about a way different population. There's like 2,500 Luka Silvers, and Giannis. I'm gonna look it up right now because I know there are very few compared to. All right, Luka. Let's look down here. Let's see here. Luka Silvers, 1926. So we say, there's 2,000 Luka Silvers, and they're going for some ungodly amount of money, like 8 grand right now. And then if we go ahead and open link in new tab, look up 2013 Prism. And if you have any questions or comments, anything you're interested in knowing about these cards, please leave a comment. I'm happy to talk about whatever y'all want to, whatever y'all would like to discuss on here, whatever you want to know. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to do is discuss, learn things from you, and bring information to people that are interested in sports cards, and ultimately help people make better decisions, so that they stay in the market. So this is interesting. Okay, we look at Panini Prism. There's 150,000 that have been graded, and that doesn't include the 6 months of backlog that's sitting at PSA or BGS, and all the product that hasn't been opened yet. In 2013 Prism, which it's Giannis rookie year, so it's a big product in the industry. 8,300. There's only been 8,300 cards graded total, right? That's all the parallels. That's all the base cards, the Prisms, the LeBrons, the Kobes, the everything. 8,300, 8,400 cards, right? So we've got, when we look at Giannis, 2,400 base cards, right? And a PSA 10. All right, and those are going for about 3,500. So there's 6 times less Giannis cards, base cards, that are only going for about twice, almost exactly twice. 6 times less, going for twice. So, based on market cap, Luka is selling for 3 times what Giannis is. I think they just call it Prism. They don't call it Silver in 2013 Prism. So 75 Giannis Silvers. Those are the ones that are going for 30 grand right now, as opposed to, what do we say, 2,500 Luka Silvers, something like that. No, 1926, so 1,900, but still, like, oh my gosh, 20, times 75 would be 1,500. 25 times more Giannis. 25 times more Lucas Silvers than Giannis. So at $8,000, that values, if you go off population, which I know everybody doesn't believe in that. I get a lot of flack. I get a lot of hate for talking about population all the time. But in the long run, it's one of the main things. I mean, it is kind of, you get back into vintage, it is all about population, right? So, yeah, 25 times more. So at $8,000, a Lucas Silver, if you take into account population, is selling at about 10 times more than a Giannis Silver, right? So, that said, I get off my soapbox a little bit there. Let's go back and let's look up the Lucas Selects. Let's see, 2018. Uh, 2018. So Selects, 2018 Selects, there have only been 14,000, 10 times less. There are 10 times more Prisms graded than Select in 2018. So definitely want to keep that in mind. Because I don't think, so there's only 1,100 Selects. Here's another thing that I noticed, the red, white, and blue prisms, Luka prisms. So if you do want to buy Luka, I would buy a red, white, and blue prism because they're going for about the same money as base cards, or they were like a week or two ago. And there's only like 2,500 red, white, and blue prisms, as opposed to, 15,000 base. So base Select 1,100 in PSA 10. Go ahead and put that in here. All right, jump over to BGS. And 249, 110. Only one BGS 10 Select, which they are really, really rare. It's hard to get. But let's say 30%, so 75, 30% of the 9.5s we're going to say are a 10, 110, so we'll just say 75 even for BGS. SGC. Let's see here. Filter. Oh, that's the Jordans. Oh, wait. That's football. '18, 19. So at SGC we've got let's see, 12 10s. It's kind of hard to get an SGC 10. I mean, I guess they just don't have as many, especially of these like high demand cards, high value cards. People just don't send them to SGC for good reason. They don't resell nearly as well. Total pop. let's see here. I need to drag all this down. I'll go ahead and go through here. All right, so what is a 2018 Select Luka selling for right now? We're gonna go over to eBay. Luka PSA 10. And 2018 Select Luka PSA 10. Sold items. And that's just base select. That's not $900. Wow. The premieres are selling for $1149. But the courtsides, yeah, the courtsides are selling for $6,300. This premiere sold for $3,000. Oh, these are all over the place. And I always sort by ended recently, so you can see what things are selling for, like right now. Go down and make sure you're looking at sold listings, not just what people are asking for the products. But yeah, the concourse, which I'm pretty sure, let's see. How do they, wait. Yeah. The concourse, number 25, right? So, of the premiere, there's only 422, and courtside, there are 152. I think that premiere is the way to go. Well, let's see. Premier PSA 10 that sold for $1149. Wow, that must, because this one went at auction for, oh, that's a silver Premier. That seems cheap. Huh, compared to what the Prisms sell for? I mean, I know people have decided that's what I want, is the Prism. But, seems like, so the silvers, there's only 160 concourse silvers. And that was Premier. So there's 160 Premier silvers. And there's this exact same amount of courtside silvers. Yeah, compared to what other Luka cards sell for, that seems cheap. Huh, Scope Prism. $23.50. Gosh, it's just how much more rare the Select are out of 2018 as opposed to the Prism. That's what's blowing my mind right now. But anyways, yeah, we'll go with the concourse. So, all right, and then let's see. So those are selling for about, what did it say, 800. So not quite $1 million market cap on those. That I think is reasonable. Like I think that's a reasonable price. That's definitely a reasonable price for somebody with his stats, as exciting as he is. Wow. I did not know that I assume there was a lot more production than that. And this isn't completely reflective of it is reflective of production, because the more of something there is in this day and time when everybody's sending all of these, top players in to get graded, how many are graded is reflective of how many were produced. But yeah, 1,100 concourse that are selling for 800. I think that's reasonable. Like that's a good price. I do think that Prism being there's 15,000, that's way overvalued. You know, people can say whatever they want, but down the line, that all comes into play. If there's 15,000 on the market, there has to be 15,000 people that are willing to pay $1,700. And I honestly think no matter what Luka does in the next 5 years, 5 years from now, there won't be 16,000 people that are willing to pay $1,700 for a Prism. But I could very easily see there being 1,100 people willing to pay $1,000 for a Concourse Select. Very easily, 1,200 people. Let's look at Optic. I would expect Optic to be higher production numbers, but let's see. So 2018 Optic, not contenders. Basketball. Donruss Optic. $36,000 cards. So again, it doesn't look like there was as high a print run as Optic as there was of Prism, but there's probably a lot of people sending in Prism cards of players that they normally wouldn't, but when it comes to Luka, everybody's sending in these cards to get graded for the most part, So if there's only 3,200 base Luka optics that have been graded, then just guessing, there's a lot less, educated guess, there's a lot less optic that was printed than there was Prism that year. Because they do not tell you production numbers. The companies nowadays, they never have, but it used to be a lot easier to figure out what the production numbers were, because they used to put all of the pull rates of the inserts on the back of the packs or on the boxes. And so, you could look at, okay, this card's numbered to 1,000. The pull rate is 1 in, 188 packs. For one of these cards, how many are in the set times 188, you can figure out the production numbers. Nowadays it's harder. You still can in some products, but it's definitely a lot harder, and they will not tell you the production numbers. So PSA is 3,200 optic base. And let's go over to Beckett. Uh, 2018 Select Luka Doncic. Oh no, we want to look up optic. Donruss optic. Rated rookie, Donruss optic. Will this give us? No. Somehow I got off here. Oh, you got to put it in here. Okay. I have not spent near as much time with the BGS pop report. You do have to set up an account with BGS to use their pop report, but it's just like put in your email. They send you a verification, and then you can use the pop report. Like, they don't charge you for it, but optic. So there we go. Donruss Optic, Luka rated rookie. At BGS, there are 10 10s and 477 9.5s, so we'll take that same 30% of the 9.5s and consider that, what would grade at PSA 10. So 150, we'll say 145 plus 10 10s, 155. Plug that in. And if you guys want, I can make this spreadsheet available in the description when we're all done. And it's pretty basic, but if y'all want that, I'm happy to. Let's go over to SGC, new search, set name. Look up the SGC 9.5s and 10s. 2018-19 basketball. Subject. The world? Okay. Yeah. SGC is a little different. You have to filter through the search bar for the name. Let's see. Okay, so there have been, I think this is the card we want. Card number 177. 5810 and pristine 10s. We'll just plug that in real quick. It's not going to make a huge difference. And let's see what the optic base goes for. That select concourse really surprises me. There's so much less, so many less of those. I mean, 1,100, so it's like 14 times less than what Prism are, and they're only going for $800. So there's like a 30 times discount. I think that's very interesting. All right. So the Optic 10s looks like are going for about $850 as well. I don't know. I would way rather have a select concourse PSA 10 than the Optic rated rookie. I mean, like I say, right now in the midst of, the popularity, it's what people want. It's what they like. It's the design, but and that will carry over to a certain extent. But eventually, according to 100 years of card history, population comes into account. The Hollow is going for $6,400. Wow, that's high. Okay, $850, $949. That's 850, 850. Yeah, we're just gonna say 850. Those are going for 850 right now. So $3 million market cap. So overall, Luka's got a $30 million market just out of these three base products, not including the Select Premier or Select Courtside or any of the other parallels or prisms or autos or other brands or anything else involved. So at this point in time, just with these three base products, base cards in a grade 10, we've got a $30 million market cap, over $30 million market cap. So half of the entire Michael Jordan market cap, just in those three products. So I'm not saying that these cards won't go up. I'm not saying that that there's not necessarily value here, but I'm very, very skeptical that this is a hold. Yeah, I just wouldn't recommend that anybody buy these at these prices. Not considering, we've got a player that's been in the league, no matter how good he is, which he is amazing. Been in the league 2 years, and just these three cards are bringing half of Michael Jordan's market cap. That seems off to me. But you decide, you spend your money however you see fit. I am not here to tell people how to spend their money. I am here to, do some research, find out information, discuss, and, try to teach people what I know about the hobby. So keep that in mind. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to provide some value, provide some content that you can take away from, maybe give you something to think about. Let's see here. And again, if we go into, I'm going to split this, duplicate tab, Michael Jordan. I do want to do more of these breakdowns. So if you have anyone or a set or any specific player that you want to see a breakdown on, then please let me know. I enjoy this very much. It's very interesting to me, and I'm happy to more than happy to take any suggestions. I think there's a ton of value in your suggestions. If you're wondering something about a player or a card, then there's a very good chance there's other people out there, and it's hard for me. I just have my perspective. So the questions that I have in my mind are, very different than what someone else might have. And so it's important to me to get people's suggestions and opinions to stay relevant and to give people what they want. So, Michael Jordan. All right. So if we're looking at what does Luka Doncic have to do to be considered in that Michael Jordan category. All right, Jordan's a 14-time All-Star, 10-time scoring champ, 3-time steals champ, 6-time NBA championship, 6 NBA championships, 11 All-NBA, 9 All-Defense, All-Rookie, 3-time All-Star MVP, 87 Defensive Player of the Year, 6-time Finals MVP. So every finals he entered, he was the MVP. 5-time League MVP and Rookie of the Year. So Luka has All-Rookie, All-NBA, and Rookie of the Year, and 1 All-Star. So what does he need to do to get in this category? He's got to do a lot. He's got to avoid injury. He's got to be relevant. He has to play on teams that are very competitive. His stats do have to go up. Well, I say that. Michael Jordan averaged over his career over 30 points a game. That's unheard of. 6 rebounds a game, 5.3 assists a game. And keep in mind, when he came back in 01 and 02, that's not the same Michael Jordan. 22 points a game, 20 points a game, 5 rebounds and 6 assists. So, and playing, the whole time he's at Chicago, he's not playing on slouch teams. I mean, these are championship teams. Not that Dallas is a slouch team by any means, but Jordan had a 33% from the 3 career and 50% field goal. And Luka's got a 45% field goal and 32% from the 3. So just in his first couple years, I mean, Luka's in a position which is kind of, you see this a lot nowadays, where his position, he is asked to take a lot of shots in a lot of tough shots, a lot of low percentage shots, a lot of shots under coverage, double team, triple team, game winners, high pressure, that type of thing. So look at people like Luka and James Harden, and you can look at these stats and say that the percentages are fairly low, but you got to take into account what they're being asked to do by their team. So these are volume players. Now, if the Dallas Mavericks become a better team, if they add more talent, what does that do to Luka's stats? I mean, I think that's a good question to ask. Not that he's not, a world-class player, he is, but what does that do if you add people that can bring Dallas to a championship? Obviously, if you add those other all-star world-class players, you're going to have to split the ball up a little bit, and you might see a decline in the stats. I would, especially like rebounds and assists, I don't know, especially rebounds, but assists too. I would expect some drop off there. But let me know what you think. If anybody has any questions, please ask, because I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about, I would like to bring something to people's attention. One of my what I think is one of the best plays to make, as far as like a midterm hold, like a card that you're going to hold for a couple of years, is people that are getting ready to come into the Hall of Fame. And we have a situation right now with 1998 Topps basketball that I want to cover. Series 2. In 96, 97, and 98, all of those years, Topps had a 220 card set, split up over 2 series. So only 110 cards in the series set. These boxes, hobby boxes, are selling for less than $250 right now of 98. This includes the Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce, and Vince Carter rookie cards. So 36 packs, 11 cards per pack, plus a gold label, and only 110 count set. So you've got 3 guys that are coming into the Hall of Fame very quickly. Their rookies are out of this set. In one box, you're going to get, on average, 3 of each of those players, potentially more. There's like 400 cards in a box. There's only 110 cards in a set, so you do the math. But also, you've got the inserts, chrome inserts, refractor inserts, gold label inserts, gold labels were inserted one in every 12 packs. So there should be on average 3 in a box. And there's only a 10 card set. So out of that set, you've got Kobe, Michael Jordan, and Shaq. They have regular gold label, they have black label, and they have red label. And a red label Michael Jordan 1998 Topps high grade, like PSA 10, sells for an ungodly amount of money. I mean, like 10 grand. But regardless, if you look up 1998, these boxes are selling for $250. You look up 1998 Topps Dirk Nowitzki PSA 10. The Dirks PSA 10s are selling for that's the chrome. We're looking for the base Topps PSA 10, about $600 is what I was seeing. That one's considerably less. 480, 500, 625. These also have parallels. I can't remember what the parallels are called, but you can look it up on Trading Card Database. So 1998 Topps basketball TCDB Trading Card Database. You can see here 220 cards. If you look at the rookie breakdown, Rafe LaFrance, Paul Pierce, Antoine Jameson, Jason Williams, who still holds value even though his awards aren't that great. He's a super exciting player. If you've never watched Jason Williams, check it out. Guy transformed basketball. Tyronn Lue, coach. Vince Carter, and that's pretty much it. But Vince Carter, Paul Pierce, and Dirk Nowitzki will hit the Hall of Fame here pretty quick. And I'm wanting to pick up some of these boxes. I haven't been able to yet, and I've been kicking myself. But, I'm here to provide value, and so I'm just letting everybody know, hey, this is an awesome buy. You're getting 3 of those on average out of a box. On average, you're getting probably 3.5. That card in a 10 goes for $500. The Vince Carter. I'm going to get to your questions in just a minute, guys. I appreciate you asking some stuff. I just want to get through this little spiel first. So Vince Carter's going for around $300 in a PSA 10. And this is the best way to get PSA 10s is to buy an open product or unopened sets. And I really think the unopened product is a better chance than the unopened sets. But if you're looking for that type of thing, this is the best way to go about getting cards that'll potentially grade a PSA 10. Most of the cards on the market that are in that grade. So 300. Yeah, Vince Carter's going for 300. The Dirk's going for, let's say, 500. And Paul Pierce is going for, if you got a better budget, the chrome, those are also one to consider, and you got a better chance at the refractors there. So this one went for $350, so $431. We'll just say $350. So if your top scenario, that's not to take into account the gold labels, and like I said, you have about a 30% chance of pulling either a Jordan, a Shaq, or a Kobe out of one of these boxes for $250. And if you got 3 Dirks, 3 Paul Pierce, and 3 Vince Carters, and they all graded at 10, the potential there is like 1950 plus 1500, so $3,450. There's over a 10x potential there. And that's just those three players. So anyways, something to think about. Back to the chat. Spider-Man card breaks. Hey, thanks for being here, Spider-Man. I feel like there are a lot of fans who never saw Jordan play and can't appreciate his greatness. That's definitely true. Yeah, if you never saw him play, I remember sitting in my parents' bedroom, laying on the bed watching Bulls games. And it was, I mean, for the time period, even in today's time, if you watch highlights of Michael Jordan, like, he would straight up, like, he would keep up. He would be a star today, just as big of a star today, I think. And the guy was clutch, super clutch, and just a competitor and amazing to watch. But at the time, even more amazing to watch. People were not doing, especially in the 80s, were not doing what Michael Jordan was doing. And yeah, Spider-Man. So the younger collectors are gravitating to current players like LeBron and Luka because they are the best players of their generation. Very true. Very true. That's understandable. And I think it's always been the case, kind of. People are going to, it's collecting. That's the hobby is, I'm a younger person. Like, I want that player. I think that's super important and something that is getting lost nowadays is we've gone from, I want that player because I love watching that player play. I am a huge fan and I want his rookie card. Okay? And the more and more, we've gotten away from that and into, I want, 10 of these cards in a PSA 10 and I'll probably never look at them. I'll just put them in a safe deposit box and, see what happens with the price as an investment. And that's a good thing for the hobby. It's a good thing for sports cards as well. But, yeah, young people, are not necessarily thinking about long-term return necessarily. And I wasn't when I was young. I went after the current players and, if in my card collection from, my early years, it's not, it's not worth a whole lot. Had I been buying, cards from the 1970s or 60s, that's a collection you can retire on. But I wasn't. And so yeah, my collection from when I was young is not worth a whole lot, what I have left of it. But it's a great time, and that's why I'm still here, and that's why a lot of people are coming back into the hobby. So I definitely agree with you, and I definitely agree that the more people look into long-term value and the more the young, the earlier people start looking into, not what's hot right now, but what is actually going to increase in value, what's going to make me money in the long term, I think the better. So yeah. Ryan 23, thanks for being here. Ryan, any of y'all join Card Snipers membership? Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I would appreciate it if you don't put promotions in my chat. No offense, Ryan, I'm gonna look that up, but I'm gonna remove that comment. Card Snipers. What is Card Snipers? I have no idea what this is. Oh, group PSA submission. So again, I'm getting ready to do a video on third-party submissions. So, I do think they're relevant. But again, like, no offense, dude. I just would appreciate it, if maybe you phrase that differently. I'm not saying you had any ill intent, but maybe just like, can you look into Card Snipers group submissions? Do you think that's a good way to go? So sorry if I offended you in any way, but I just want to keep that down because a lot of people will jump in here and just, to promote their their Instagram or their whatever, So, daily eBay snipe links for short-term investing, long-term investing, or quick flips. I'm not really a fan of that. Daily predictions by our team of experts to maximize your profit. I'm not really a fan of that. I think if you need a daily predictions, then you're in a pretty risky business. It's kind of like day trading in the stock market. You can make money doing it, but there's a lot of risk there. So RASs, group breaks. I had known nothing about this company. I'm definitely not making a recommendation of something I don't know, but that's what it is. So, yeah, that's if anybody has anything else they want to see covered, please let me know real quick. Otherwise, I'm gonna hop off of here. But yeah, breakdown just of the 3 main 2018 base cards: Select, Concourse, Optic, Rated Rookie, and Prism. We've got a total pop of oh crap, what did I do there? Undo. Equals. Ooh. Yeah, so we've got a total population of 20,000 PSA 10 or graded at 10, and as opposed to 500 Jordans, and market cap of 30 million as opposed to 60 million. Spider-Man, who do you like to watch as a fan? I really like Ja Morant's game and have a lot of fun watching him play, so I'm investing in him. How about you? I definitely like watching Ja Morant. I like James Harden's probably my favorite player to watch. Love watching LeBron, Luka, Zion, Colin Sexton. I like watching Colin Sexton. Yeah, it's it's an exciting time for basketball. That brings me to another point, which is basketball evolves, right? So, players are doing exciting things today that they weren't 5 years ago. And that will, I mean, it's been the case for a long time since, Dr. Dre first, did a windmill or an alley-oop. So when we look at players that are super exciting today, we need to keep in mind that there are most likely going to be people that are coming around that are going to be more exciting, that they're going to be doing things that these players aren't doing or weren't doing, new stuff. And, players that were hot 5-10 years ago aren't looked at with the same awe and amazement, because there have been players that have come along since then that are doing things that, at least to people in the moment, are more exciting because they're different, right? So, something to keep in mind. Jesse Nunez, hey, what's up, man? I'm glad you're here. What have I been looking at so far? So far, I've done my population report on Luka base cards, so Prism, Select, Concourse base, and Optic base in 10 grade. So I took the PSA 10s. I took 30% of the BGS 9.5s and then the BGS 10s, because I kind of figure about 30% of BGS 9.5s would be graded at 10 by PSA. And then SGC 10s to get, a total population of cards, and then took each of those cards by their value, by what they're reselling for right now, to get a total market cap. So of all the people in the world, 20,000 of them are willing to spend a cumulative $30 million on Luka base cards, just these ones, not taking into account parallels and autographs and all that other stuff. I do think Select is really interesting that Select Concourse only has a total population graded to 10 of 1,200 basically, and they're only selling for $800 right now. I think that's really interesting, and I think that's a reasonable price, and there's nothing saying that, 5 years down the road, that Prism is looked as not the premium product, not the one people want, because it was extremely overproduced, and Select might be looked at more as the product that people want. So that's an interesting take from this. But also I broke the same thing down in Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer. So Jordan's got a market cap of 60 million, and Luka's got half that already just in these 3 product cards. Spider-Man, what are your expectations for Durant on the Nets? Chance for a ring. West too strong. I think if Durant is healthy, if he comes back and he's Kevin Durant, the Kevin Durant that we know and love, that they've got a sure shot at a ring. Sure shot. An Achilles injury is not a normal injury. There is a high percentage of Achilles tears that never come back and play again, or are never the same player. Kevin Durant's not your average big guy. He's an amazing shooter, so take that into consideration. But I think we're going to have to wait and see what he looks like, how he holds up. Can he come out and play every day and play at that Kevin Durant level? So that's what we're looking at right now with Kevin Durant, is just waiting to see what he does this year. If he plays at Kevin Durant level, then yeah, they've got a sure shot. I think the Bucks with Drew Holiday, oh my gosh. I think that Drew Holiday makes a way bigger impact on the Bucks than what you saw with him on the Pelicans. Personal opinion. I think they're a lot better team this year than they were last year. Something else I wanted to point out, I'm glad we got to this. Everybody looks at Gem Mint PSA cards, but there's a lot of opportunity in ungraded base cards, and not just cards that you submit to PSA. A lot of your near mint stuff, that you can pick up for a lot cheaper, has just as much or more opportunity. So you take a 2009 James Harden that goes up, that base card, let's say, it's there's way fewer of those. But let's just say that the base goes up from what it's selling at now, which I think is like $75, and a near mint base, cards that would grade an 8, and down the road, that base card has as much or better chance of going up as the graded card does. So about a month ago, I bought 4 Drew Holiday numbered rookies, and I had no idea, obviously I had no idea he was getting traded. It was just a fluke that a week later, he got traded. And I bought those because they were so cheap, and I really liked Drew Holiday, an amazing defensive player, but I bought them for like $2 a piece. I mean, $7 or $8 for all 4 of those numbered cards, and I sold them a week ago for $30. So I made, even after shipping and everything, I made a 3 times return in, a couple weeks. That's not normal, but what I'm wanting to say here is don't count out base cards that maybe aren't in a 9 or 10 condition, because overall, if you take 100 cards that are graded, that are $10 cards, that are ungraded and maybe not in the best condition, you got $1,000 worth of ungraded cards, or you've got one PSA 10 that's $1,000. Well, if that player gets some hype behind them and that PSA 10 goes up to 2,000, those base cards, ungraded cards, could go up to 30 or 40. That happens. That's definitely something that happens. And you might get a bigger return on those base cards percentage-wise than what you would on those graded cards. Jesse, I recently found Select and like it. Yeah, I think Select has the. I feel like Select has the best chance at becoming tomorrow's product that people want. So, because Prism is produced in such high numbers and Select is produced in much lower numbers, and it is a premium product, it's a chrome product, it's a very good looking product. There doesn't have to be that much. There doesn't have to be that much of a shift in the market for people to say, I like Select more than I like Prism, right? That can happen. If Select comes out with a product and people shift to that, that's the rookie I want. Not the Prism. I want the Select rookie of this player. All right, say that happens next year. That can carry over to the entire market where people say, oh, I don't want the Luka base Prism anymore. I want the Luka Concourse Select or the Luka Premier Select. And that's the entire print run of Select has always been lower. And I think there's a ton of great buying opportunities out there for Select. Jesse Nunez, I'm a Laker, so I'm calling for the back-to-back. I understand, man. Hey, stay strong. Stay strong. Super fan status. There's there's a very good chance you see a back-to-back. The Lakers have stocked up in the offseason. And so it's going to be an exciting year. It's going to be a fun year to watch basketball. I can't wait for Christmas. At Christmas, just to sit down and watch basketball all day on Christmas. That's awesome. Like, you don't get to do that normally. Well, I mean, you do, but not like this. Like, where the season just ended and normally, this is exciting. Especially being in the card market, being a fan, it's a good time. It's a good time. So much talent. There is a lot of talent. Jesse says, yeah, it's going to be fun. There's so much talent. There is a ton of talent. I mean, just a crazy amount of talent. I'm very excited to see what the draft class does this year. This year's draft class got a lot of hate for some reason, but I mean, I think there's a ton of potential. You look at James Wiseman, Obi Toppin, Anthony Edwards. I don't know that it's as strong a draft class as we've seen in years past, but I think a lot of the reason that they're not looked at as well is because they didn't play hardly at all this year, So, people didn't get a chance to see what they were capable of in their last year leading up to the draft, right? So we'll have to see, what LaMelo Ball is not, to me, is not as an exciting of a player to watch from what I've seen as some of the other guys in the draft class. But I'm no expert on, judging talent, and there's a lot of people that are, and they talk very highly of LaMelo Ball, so I'm excited to watch him. Just everybody, it's going to be a fun season. I think I'm going to call it there, guys. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody watching. Make sure and subscribe to the channel, and hit me up. Let me know what you think. Give me your comments, your suggestions. And I'm excited to bring you more content about sports cards. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.